Hello and welcome to Breaking the Grid with me, BonBonB. I'm BonBonB, you're very, very welcome. So this is part 3. It's kind of a Let's Play tutorial, except for we're not actually building a city. We are laying out the grid of what would have been the earliest settlements in this part of the world and seeing how they would possibly evolve into a modern city, which will in turn help us to break away from building a grid city. Now, so far we have our 3 original earliest settlements now in place with all the basic road layouts and connections between. We have our little fishing village over here, which is built into a valley protected from the coastal winds. That's going to be, I think, the nicest place to live. The only downside of this location is it's quite a trek from the 2 main areas, which you can see we follow the dirt track around this hill here, around along the edge of the shoreline, and then over here we have our fishing village. It's going to be good for saltwater fish here, I do believe, and we have also a farming community as well. And since the last show, as I promised off camera, I've laid out some fields, and we'll have a quick look at those in a moment. There's also a small settlement alongside the river over here as well. We've got fresh water over there, and again that'll be okay for a bit of freshwater fishing, and it's a fairly short walk to the farming and saltwater fishing area. Let's have a little closer look at this farm area and what I've done off camera. I'm not saying it's exciting or anything like that. I'm just saying I've also changed the bushes, by the way. They were the bright green ones had to go. So we've gone with this. The thing is, with these early fields, they would have been quite small. You have to remember, if this was you here in, well, we're 873, so we're now probably about 900 AD. You're gonna be farming enough food for yourself, and then sorry, now we've got antennas or whatever. Very modern building for 900 AD, but there you go. So yes, you'll be farming to feed your family, and hopefully making a little bit extra to be able to sell to other people, so that you can buy shoes and Wi-Fi, all the usuals. So yes, all the fields will be relatively small. I haven't popped in every building. This is just symbolic. The buildings are literally symbolic, and the dirt tracks are probably overplayed. These would still all pretty much be single line paths at an early stage, but you get the idea. So yes, this was our fishing village leading onto a farming area, and the dirt track that leads off this way takes us down. We get a split in the path about here, where the natural path led around here, as we saw in the last episode, following the rough contours of the land. Most of the clearings through the forest were down here, and the least steep slope down to the riverbank was down through that path there, which is why that route came out there. There's no reason for the village to expand into the forests. It could expand along the riverbank to a certain extent, as it's already cleared over here. And of course, we could probably get a couple of settlements over here. There'd be possibly a small settlement of about 3 or 4 buildings on this side of the riverbank as well. I think we'll do it. This is why we're here, isn't it? This is exactly why we're here, to say, well, there probably would be, so we'll do a dirt track over there, and there would be I'm not putting the buildings over here. You know what buildings look like, and they'll do. I know we have rocks in the road. I'm not worried about detailing issues here. We are just looking about how this would probably expand. Now, the next question is, what would happen from here? Assuming we have ourselves a bustling, healthy little fishing village over here. Fishing, farming and forest and foraging going on. Not fishing, farming. Fishing, hunting and foraging going on from this river settlement over here. Farming and sea fishing going on with this settlement here. And freshwater fishing, a little bit of sea fishing possibly, from the settlement over here. What would happen next? Well, I'm thinking now we're going to get some little bit of movement between the 3, because these guys have got parsnips and potatoes. Those guys over there want parsnips and potatoes, as do these guys. And of course you could migrate all the way along here, and there would be some trade routes between the 3. somewhere down the line, somewhere in the middle, would become a little bit of a... I'm going to call it a trading post village. It's sort of a trading post village. It's sort of the first commercial village. It's not really a commercial village at this early stage, but you would find tradesmen, like your cobblers, your hoopers. Oh, think of some other old words. There you go. But yeah, your smithies or whatever. I'm thinking... in this area, as it's already cleared anyway, for some reason, nature decreed that there was not going to be forests up here. No idea why, but we're going to go with this as the map as we're playing with it. Now, this is already cleared, so it's going to be easy to build on. Plus, there's plenty of forests around, so we can get plenty of logs for building our buildings. So that would be good. Meanwhile, it is also... not too far from the junction, if you call it a junction. The junction here between I kind of need to give these names. Riverdale, help, Riverdale Fishing Village, and of course over there, Valleyton. Okay, right, we're sorted. Right, so... between the Riverdale and the Fishing Village, we have this junction, and things would be going on here. Things would definitely be going on at this spot here. Because it also connects out that way. So I'm thinking definitely there would be some buildings going on down here. And if there's buildings, there's going to be a few more tracks and roads. If not the most extensive, it's not going to be huge around here at this point. I think there'll probably be actually, let's do a little road in there, and that might have... I'm just trying to think how this would have expanded. Has that bent round? Let's put these lines of terrain on as well. We're going to need these. That's too steep to come down back in ye old days, as they say. But this probably would be okay. So there'd probably be one in there, and maybe in time these two dirt tracks would connect like that, and there might be a track up into this part here because it's fairly flat land. Again, this is what we're just looking for the flat lands. We're looking to follow the contours as well, and so maybe there might have been one going off in that kind of direction over there as well, and maybe one coming in this way. So yeah, I'm looking at that, and I'm believing that to be plausible, if not necessarily definite. And of course, there's plenty of arguments against all of this. Doesn't matter. I'm not wanting to be massively historically accurate. I'm looking at, if I was settling here, where would I build? How would I survive? And how I would survive would be, now over here we have fish and berries and wildebeest being hunted down over there. We have, this is going to be a really good location, really good middle location. And also, for anybody coming all the way around the fields here, all the way around the hill here, you'd come and settle into, this would be the first place you'd come to, and you'd be able to start trading your wares. So this is going to be like a commercial area. There would be shops. There would definitely be shops of some description, early traders spots. Meanwhile, this would then we've got fresh water down here. We have got fresh water down here. We would want access to that for our new settlement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little footpath. I know, again, I'm using dirt roads. I'm not too worried about that. It's all symbolic. It is all symbolic. Little footpath over here, which is the route that is... we've got a divot going on there, so it's going to be difficult to walk around there. I reckon that would connect up to about there, and so this is going to be our route to fresh water. And there'll probably be some houses and settlements coming off of here as well. Just little short roads. You won't be building long roads. You wouldn't want to... Let's play devil's advocate here. Let's say we say no, well, let's build a long road like that. Okay, I'll agree with you, just for the sake of it. Except for we don't have cars. We have horse and track. Are you going to choose to live over here? Well, to get fresh water, you've got to go a long way. To get food, you've got to go a long way. And if you're working on the fishing boat, that is quite a journey down to that fishing village over there. You're going to want to be as close to the directest routes as possible. So what I'm going to do is going to delete that road out. That road may exist later on, but at this early stage, I doubt it. Meanwhile, let's pop in some more very early tracks as this expands out, maybe off in that direction. And again, we want to have a little bit of a hill going on here, which might make it a bit difficult to build up and over. So I would say that that would probably be about done. Divot there, nobody's going to want to build into there. It's going to be marshy and soggy and boggy. You're not going to want to build in there. And then over here, this was quite steep, but there is access into this area with a little road off like that. Again, this is probably then going to become some kind of, I don't know, possibly a bit of farming up here. A few very small holdings up this way, possibly. I reckon that's a possibility. So let's have a quick look at how we've expanded. Let's come out of the terrain mode as well. How we've expanded our network there. So, right, when we get to the late 20th century, these roads, some of them will be built over by bigger buildings. I'm going to accept that. But somewhere down the line, some of these old roads will still be in place. And you can imagine, like some of these cul-de-sacs will just not exist anymore. But some of them will. And that farm is going to be really interesting to build into later. So yes, what next expansion would be, I feel, is probably into this area here. Let's go back into that line. So this to me doesn't look like it would be built into. That looks really steep. If we come down to ground level and we go down into that that divot, it's quite steep down here. Let me turn those lines off. It's quite steep. It's probably going to be quite boggy down there as well. Put it back on, I guess. So yes, I'm suggesting we would avoid that little area there and probably build our next batch of housing. This will probably just extend out to about there. And there might be a little road coming out this way into this area up here. I don't think it would go too far though, because again we're getting further and further from the main routes to anywhere really useful. So again, I feel that that's probably about as far as that would go. Would that connect across there? Possibly, actually probably would. In time, people would find a quicker route to get from their house over here down to the fishing village down there. Now this makes this more viable as a builder's area, because we are now no longer quite so far from the main route that we can say, well, actually, we probably would be able to get some more housing down here. So I'm going to do, again, just following the lines of the terrain. That is my aim here, nothing more than that. Maybe something like in that direction over there. Maybe a short little road there. Now, again, because of the slopes here, I feel that's properly where that is going to end. And again, we are getting a reasonable distance away from the main route through. So again, this is a natural evolution of our town. Next up would probably be into this area here. I'm thinking these are going to be small holdings. So I will, again, off camera, turn this into a little farm area over here. So that's the plan for that. Meanwhile, over here, again, this is going to be a trader's route. Probably down here be somewhere for the horses. This actually, again, I'm feeling actually we could be looking at some paddocks over here. I'm going to go for paddocks here. I'm going to bring this route into there, because it is quite hilly as well. In fact, I'm not liking that at all. Let's get rid of that. And we'll try that again without it looking quite so. Put the lines back on. Thank you. Yes, that was down a bit of a slope there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the lines of terrain like such. And we'll have horses paddocks going on here. Meanwhile, there probably would be a smithy or something down in this area. And the smithy will need somewhere to... I'm having trouble with the terrain here, I tell you. I'm not wanting to do any terrain work because there wouldn't be an awful lot of work with terrain in these early days. How about... Okay. Like that. And then from here, it's quite difficult to see how this would have built outwards. Maybe, again, just following the line of terrain down there. And then we can probably extend... I'm still feeling this is more of a farming area, you know. The land is quite undulated, not best suited to a village area, but maybe there are going to be areas around here we could probably settle into. Maybe about to there. Yeah, I can buy into that. And there might have been people actually, you know, living down into that area there. Would that be about, do we think? I'm buying it. I'm buying it. Also considering that this is a little bit later as well, so the house is maybe a little bit larger as well. So we do need a little bit more space for maybe some 1x2s, yeah? 1x2 housing. Blimey. But yes. So I'm thinking, yes, smithy, paddock. There'd be definitely quite a lot of buildings along the actual front of this this road, so that anybody making the long journey can stop by, get themselves a nice little Kool-Aid. Ah, yes, the 1000 AD Kool-Aid was a thing. Check it. Really don't check it. Right, so that's looking definitely much more sprawly, isn't it? What's going to happen over here is the thing. Well, certainly as the towns expand, we will be looking to expand into these areas. But more importantly, our little farming area over here is probably now going to be struggling to provide enough food for all of this area. This is becoming a decent sized area. So what we're going to want now is more farm area. And this to me looks like a great place to start building dirt tracks into to gain access to this area. Again, we should put the lines of terrain on, and we're just going to bring this up into this area over here. Again, trying to find a route into this area that is natural, follows the natural terrain, something like about that, and then maybe that can head off in that direction. And we can have one coming off in this direction, like so. Like that. And maybe one coming that way. Have one coming off here. So we're going to, off camera again, I'm going to convert all of this into fields, because I do feel that this would be definitely the area for farming. But what might then happen is this area down here, because we're running out of space. Our initial fishing village down here, excuse me, running out of farming, conurbation area. Yes, okay, we only got a few houses down. Again, all symbolic, nothing else. People wanting to work the farms are going to need more housing. Now, there is more housing to be had in these areas over here. Definitely in this area up here. Although this is more for the traders. Do you want to be living over here if you are working the farm field up there? The answer is not really. Not really. So you're going to want to be living closer, as close as is possible. So there might actually be some more housing going on around this little junction here to allow for people to work the farms. There'll be farmhouses obviously dotted around these roads as well. But I'm looking at this area down here, this area which is kind of cut off by the farms. Well, what if it wasn't cut off by the farms? What if we had this dirt track moving through and into this area? And this then would become quite a good little area, again right by fresh water, for people to house again, and bring a little track down to the fresh water because we need to have access to the fresh water. And I'm just going to find a way around the curves of the land that way. Again, around the curves of the land this way. Maybe heads off onto that edge there. This one can maybe follow the land this way again. And bring that around so. And we can prop you up to there. And you down to here. Oh, that's not good. No, that's not going to happen like that. I didn't really notice that we had a big old divot there, so I don't feel that there would be any housing being built actually in the hollow, because again, it's going to be really damp. And probably there will be a track between these two. I know it's a little bit steep there, but there'll probably be a track between the little two paths there as well. What happened there? I have no idea. Gotta love the game sometimes. So yes, I'm suggesting that is how we'd have a little bit of an extra farming community, but a community of housing going on down in this peninsula down here would start off looking like that. So right, so we've really got a nice little network broken away from the grid, a naturally evolved. We've got aeroplanes. AD 73. No, ignore that. So yes, we skip past the plane. So yes, I'm buying this. I'm buying this. This feels very natural, very organic, and certainly once we move through to the later part of the build, that will feel very natural to me. And in fact, I'm thinking we are getting close to that point now. In the next episode, I think we will look to be doing some fast expansion, looking towards how this would start coming together in a latter city build, and how maybe the highways would upgrade. So yes, join me for that one. That will do for today's show. Thank you very much for watching, for commenting, for liking, and for subscribing, for joining me for this Breaking the Grid series. I'll be back next time with a little bit more, and you will be very, very welcome to join me. Thanks for watching.